It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do. But the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face, it's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sport.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Great to be back with you with our Thursday edition of the show. And wouldn't you know it, tonight it all begins. The NBA Finals, Oklahoma City. We'll see if they can continue their run throughout the postseason. Facing off with the Indiana Pacers. We'll break it down with Gilbert McGregor, of course, of Sporting News. We'll also talk some National Hockey League. Did you catch Game 1 of the Finals last night? Wow, right down to the wire, including into overtime. Almost a second overtime last night. We'll break that down for you as well. That, and of course, breaking down Major League Baseball, Joe Pisapia will join us as well. More special guests we'll have throughout the show. Adam Kaufman with some previews of some of the props tonight in the NBA as well. But let's get started with the game that went deep into the night last night, almost about midnight on the East Coast if you were watching. But the Edmonton Oilers come back to defeat the Florida Panthers 4-3 in overtime in Game 1. Leon Draisaitl with the winner. On an assist from Connor McDavid, the Panthers had a 2-goal lead in this game. They squandered it. The game was tied up. And then with less than a minute to go in the first overtime, Edmonton ends up taking Game 1. Very exciting finish. And it does appear we're probably headed for a long Stanley Cup Finals. Nothing wrong with that. Chris Knobloch, head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, seemingly believes that we are going to be in for a classic series.
Well, there's going to be times each team's going to have their pushes, and to think that we're just going to dominate for 60 minutes is pretty naive from us. They're a really good hockey team, and when they do have their pushes, hopefully we can limit how long that is going to be. We're very fortunate in the second period that Stu made some really big saves in the second because of the quality of chances that they had, and very numerous of them. So. Very happy with our guys. Stick with it, regroup after the second period, and have a good push in the third period. And for the most part in overtime, I thought we were pretty good there too. But yeah, we know that they've got better, and hopefully we've got some better too.
And seemingly, it would appear that Paul Maurice, the head coach of the Florida Panthers, understands the challenge that is ahead, almost echoing Knobloch in that get ready for a long series.
These games are tight. I don't think that you have domination of the third period in tight games. So we're in pretty good shape at 3-1. I think we got some real good pressure. So they get it back, and then it's some plays that we didn't complete. Not really particularly worried about those. It's just the ebbs and flows of the game.
Right side, first row.
Hey, Paul. I know it's a game of mistakes, but how much of that game did you like? It seemed that your structure.
Pieces. I thought there's some places that we could have controlled the puck a little bit more, and then just the balance between when you can and when you can't. That will be what we'll look at.
All right, game 2 coming up this weekend. Meanwhile, it all begins tonight. The NBA Finals finally gets underway as the Indiana Pacers take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 1 expected to tip off sometime around 8:30 p.m. Eastern. If history tells us anything, it's more like 8:45 or 9 o'clock Eastern. Needless to say, should be a fun series. We'll see if Oklahoma City, who's one of the biggest favorites in the history of the NBA Finals, ends up getting it done. Rick Carlisle, head coach of the Pacers, throwing all of the credit OKC's way.
Yeah, Oklahoma City's a great team. And yeah, we're aware what's expected here, and so we've got a lot of work cut out for us. A lot of our guys have been through a lot of situations where they've been underdogs in the past, and it's simply going to come down to us being able to play our game at the best possible level. We're going to need to take care of the ball because these guys turn people over at a historic rate, and we're going to have to make some shots.
Well, the first thing is we have to be who we are, and we enjoy coming to work every day. That's how our facility is, regardless of whether or not it's the finals or regardless of whether or not anybody else is there. And I encourage them to be that. We have to stay true to who we are in this whole experience. And then we have to acknowledge the things that are different. There's a lot of different elements around the game. And we also have to understand the things that are the same. And when the ball goes up in the air, the game's going to come down to the same things. Whether or not you win or lose is going to come down to the same things. And it's okay to acknowledge that it's going to feel a little different outside the lines, but we have to understand it's going to be the same inside the lines, and that needs to be our focus.
In terms of point spread, you're not going to find a bigger one for game 1 of the NBA Finals. Boy, Oklahoma City, almost double-digit favorites. When they open up tonight, total 230.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. We have it covered for you tonight on In Game Live. Phoenix Suns hiring a new head coach. It is Jordan Ott. He's been an NBA assistant since 2012. They steal him away from the Cleveland Cavaliers, who had such a great regular season. Pretty good postseason as well. Jordan Ott, next head coach of the Phoenix Suns. All right, let's get to some baseball here. Pete Alonso hit 2 home runs. He drove in 5. And the Mets beat the Dodgers 6-1. Tough night for the Dodgers offense. They're 2 through 5 hitters, 0 for 15 with a walk. Pete Alonso says he just loves playing in LA.
I think optically, I just see the ball really well here. I don't know. I just optically, it's good. Batter's box feels good. Like I don't know. It's just and also hitting in historic parks is really cool because I mean, I don't know. It's just really it's really special. It's a special place. Like same thing with Wrigley and Fenway. It's like the little fan inside, like as like you just think of like a little kid out there. So it's really fun.
Tonight, great pitching, some offense, big long balls. Just overall, what you see from your team tonight?
That was a great team win. I mean, Griffin Griffin executed all of his pitches, sequenced well. Castillo did a great job. Stanley did a good job holding it down. I mean, pitching staff was nasty tonight and gave us a chance to put some runs up on the board as an offense. So that was really big time from those guys. And yeah, so glad to get this one, but we got a big one tomorrow.
Prior to the Angels and Red Sox game, both teams seemingly arguing with each other before practice surrounding some sign stealing that one team thought the other were doing. And boy, did they battle it out on the field yesterday. The Angels blew a 4-0 lead, 7-5, 8-7, 9-8. They just kept blowing leads. And then in the end, it was Cedane Rafaela who hit a home run to right field. And when he hit it, no one was really sure if it was going to go out or not. He sort of poked it right around pesky pole. But wouldn't you know, the Red Sox, who keep playing these close games all season long, play another one. They get the walk-off. Alex Cora talked about watching that ball fly out of Fenway.
So we usually, when they hit it down the line, everybody screams pesky, and sometimes he's begging for one. You cannot tell, like if it's going to be fair or foul, and then we saw the call and they went nuts, I mean, obviously we needed that one, but we needed to finish there too. We needed that, so.
San Francisco, San Diego battling it out yesterday. Yet again, Giants rallying for 3 runs in the 7th inning. They beat the Padres 6-5. Finally, the Giants get some offense on the board. How about Jose Ramirez of Cleveland? Still one of the more underrated players in baseball. 30-game on-base streak so far this season. Luis Ortiz, 5 2/3 scoreless. The Guardians end up beating the Yankees yesterday by a final of 4-0. Over in the National Football League, it's a contract extension for wide receiver Rashad Bateman of the Baltimore Ravens. He gets a 3-year, $36.75 million contract that also includes $20 million guaranteed. So he and Zay Flowers and the rest of the gang return back to Baltimore for this upcoming season, which, by the way, is just a few months away. Also in golf, Sam Burns, Alex Smalley are tied for the lead, 4 under par right now on the PGA Tour. They had some weather issues earlier in the day. We'll check in with Brady Kannon coming up in just about 15 minutes on the latest on the PGA Tour. By the way, U.S. Open coming up soon as well. All right, up next, Gilbert McGregor weighs in on the NBA Finals. We'll go over how Oklahoma City built their dynasty. Is it the beginning of one? We'll find out next. Don't go away.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Got the NBA Finals just a few hours away from tipping off in Oklahoma City. Let's bring in Gilbert McGregor from Sporting News. We'll get a preview of the game and also kind of take a look at where the NBA stands in this series and how rosters are built, etc. A deeper dive into it. Gilbert, great to see you again. Thanks for coming on here as we get the NBA Finals started tonight. So we're going to have a new champ in the NBA, and we've been saying that a lot, right? You look at it, Boston won last year. We pretty much penciled them in for at least an East Finals appearance. They did not get there. The Knicks took care of them. The Nuggets won a championship, Golden State, Milwaukee, LA. It seems like everybody's had their hand in winning a championship. Boy, it does seem like forever since the Raptors, by the way, won a championship. It's hard to remember that one.
Yeah, that was 6 years ago, but it does feel like just yesterday. And we're 7 straight years, 7 different champions. Haven't had a back-to-back champion since the Warriors in 2017 and 2018. So all that parity that people were asking for when we were seeing the Cavaliers and Warriors every year, well, it's here now. So it's exciting to see. And I think that you can look at it one way or the other. You can say that Indiana and Oklahoma City isn't necessarily the big market matchup you might have asked for, but these are two really good basketball teams. And as you said, we'll have a new champion this year, and that's exciting.
Yeah, definitely so. And when you look at it, I think that fans in the cities of Denver and Milwaukee probably disappointed that they didn't win more than one championship with some of the superstars that are on those teams. So the Thunder, we kind of know how they built their team, Gilbert, but it's very, it's similar in a way to Indiana through the draft as well. I really didn't realize that, but Indiana, a lot of their bench players and sort of their role players are built through that way. The Thunder were going through a lot of losses for many years, Gilbert, but as they were doing it, it seems like they made some tremendous trades to acquire players and picks, and I know they even have more in the future coming.
Yeah, it goes to show you just really how important homegrown talent is. You look at the 9 draft picks on the Thunder and 7 on Indiana. And the Thunder, a lot of it is credited to that Paul George trade in 2019. They hit the reset button. They didn't waste any time that offseason after they lost and Damian Lillard hit that shot. They trade Paul George. They get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Nobody knew he was going to be an MVP, but they knew he was a player worth parting ways with Paul George for. You get all the draft picks. Some of those draft picks were used to take Jalen Williams and move around a little bit in the draft as well. So regardless, you get 2 all-stars out of that trade, and that is really the building block of what they have. And they drafted well as well. Chet Holmgren was their own pick from after a very rough year on the court. They get the 2nd overall pick, and Chet Holmgren is definitely a rising star in the NBA as well. So a lot of times you see it, and maybe the Spurs are paying attention. Draft for need and not necessarily the best guy or the guy who's biggest on the draft board. Draft who you need and who will fit in the vision that you have for your team moving forward. And the same goes for the Pacers with guys like Miles Turner, the longest tenure player on their team, Benedict Mathurin. Andrew Nembhard was a 2nd-round draft pick who proved to be a steal. So it's really cool to see teams built that way.
So, there, as far as the props are concerned, we can have a lot of fun with this. But before we get to that, I mean, the actual game itself in the series is really not bettable unless you really want to take a shot that a lot of people don't want to do, Gilbert, because Oklahoma City is minus 750 to win the series. So if Indiana wins, you can get 5 to 1 on your money, risking 100 to win 530. But nobody wants to do that. In fact, the Thunder are minus 132 to win the series by more than 2.5 games. I mean, that is just kind of crazy here. And the total amount of games is seemingly not believed to go more than 5, over 5.5, plus 120. So unless all the odds makers have it wrong, this is going to be a quick series, Gilbert.
It feels like it's going to be, and the Pacers have been getting written off all postseason, right? I think people didn't want to legitimize their run last year, but I think the biggest thing about Indiana is that since the calendar year flipped to 2025, they've been the 2nd best team in the league behind only the Thunder, and they've been really good on the road during these playoffs as well. So I said it on Monday, and I'll say it again now. I think that they are able to steal a game. I don't know if it's game 1, but I think they'll extend the series to 6 games. I still think the Thunder are going to win the series, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think it's going to be. I think Rick Carlisle is a genius, and I think that the Pacers are a very deep team, and they'll find ways to win. They've been hot throughout the playoffs, and I don't think that necessarily slows down, even though the Thunder do have a very tough defense that will make life difficult for Indiana. They just have a lot of guys who are consistent and relentless in their pursuit of getting to the bucket and figuring it out and figuring ways to score.
In terms of player props, you can go over under on any of the ones that we're going to show, Gilbert. And, certainly Indiana has been really tough to figure out their player props because you got Halliburton going off for 31 game and then 8 in another. I mean, Siakam has been the most consistent, but he's got the highest player prop on the board for the Pacers at 19.5. Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is 33.5, and he's been going over in a lot of these as well. Jalen Williams, 22.5. Chet Holmgren, 16.5. Over or under on any of these, Gilbert, that I show you. I guess game flow is going to be the key of how you think this is going to go tonight.
Game flow is huge, but a few stand out to me. It's funny to see a guy with their line being 33.5 points. That just speaks to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Excellent, but he also averaged 39 a game in his 2 meetings against Indiana this year. I like Shai. He tends to make statements in the big moments. He's been big in closeout games. They've been great at home. I'm interested in him. I'm interested in Chet Holmgren as well. He's been on a bit of a tear. He's coming on strong as the postseason goes on. So how will Indiana deal with what he has going on? Miles Turner maybe for Indiana is a guy who, does he bring Oklahoma City's rim protectors out and he can maybe knock down a couple threes, I think that life is going to be very difficult for Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton because of Oklahoma City's defenders and different looks they're going to throw at those guys. So Miles Turner might have to be the relief offensively for Indiana, especially if life is going to be difficult for their star players.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, now let's take a look at the Finals MVP, and you're probably better off betting SGA at minus 550 than you are the Thunder at minus 750, because I would say SGA's probably got a better shot, but it's risking 550 to win 100. It's kind of crazy. Halliburton plus 700. Siakam, who was the MVP of the last series, at 20-1. Jalen Williams 25-1. So if you're building a story that you're writing at Sporting News, Gilbert, around SGA not winning the MVP, how do you do it?
It would have to be that Indiana just throws everything at him and throws him off for the entire series, and it's Jalen Williams that steps up. It would have to be the type of thing where Rick Carlisle's like, look, we're not going to let Shai Gilgeous-Alexander beat us, and somebody else is going to have to do it. And then that would be the case where it would be somebody like Jalen Williams. We talked about it last year with Jaylen Brown, and stranger things have happened. Pascal Siakam was named Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So if somebody else can step up and the Pacers just focus on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander not beating them at all, then that would probably be the pathway for somebody else winning MVP.
We'll get it started tonight, Gilbert. I know that you like OKC. I do too. I think it sounds right in 5 games. It does feel kind of the way that I would go with it as well. Love to disagree with you, but I mean, I've been taking Indiana all the way through. I think that's coming to an end for me, though, in this series. Thanks again, Gilbert, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
All right. RBC Canadian Open going on the PGA Tour. I believe there's some weather delays, some issues. How is that going to affect the weekend? We'll bring in Brady Kannon next to tell us who ends up winning. Rory on the course as well already. Don't go away.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get a preview of the RBC Heritage Open with Brady Kannon of SportsGrid. You can also read his columns at golf.com. I know that he's doing some work for CBS too. And so golf is on the forefront for Brady, living, breathing, eating it. I mean, Brady, football season is only like a couple months away here. You got to get your majors in before it begins. U.S. Open next week, British Open coming up in July.
Yeah, it's really a great time for golf right now. And you're right, just a couple of months, we transition to football, and I'm looking forward to that as well. But right now, golf really in its heyday. You come off the PGA Championship. Here we are at the RBC Canadian Open. We've got the United States Open, the Scottish Open, the British. Yeah, this is good stuff for golf right now. But yeah, football on the horizon. And north of the border in Toronto, Sam Burns, a popular pick this week. He's out to the lead. 5 players currently right now tied at 4 under par at TPC Toronto. Nick Taylor, the first Canadian to win this tournament a few years ago in 54 years, trying to repeat here. He was a very popular pick, not only to win this week, but also to be first round leader. Alex Smalley, a good player. Taylor Pendrith, a Canadian that was a popular pick this week, just one shot off the lead. And the UNLV Rebel golfer, the Englishman Harry Hall, one shot off the pace right now, also a popular pick this week.
So let's take a look at the odds before tee time here. And Rory's fallen back a little bit after a little scuffle start here, plus 450 to open up. Now probably about double that on FanDuel. Oberg 14-1, Connors is playing at 20-1. Lowry 22-1, Taylor Pendrith 26-1, and obviously Sam Burns with the start that he's off to, you're not getting 28-1 anymore, Brady.
Yeah, Burns now down to 10-1, and it might be a good opportunity to jump on Rory. Rory has had success here, tremendous success. He loves playing this tournament. He skipped Jack Nicklaus's tournament last week so he could be here in Canada as he prepares for the United States Open next week. He's won this tournament twice. Now, this is a new golf course, new for everybody. Rory and everybody else has never played here before, basically. The first time it has popped up on the PGA Tour. But again, he's only 3 shots off the lead. We're obviously extremely early into this tournament, and you can get him at 8-1 at last check rather than that plus 450 that you referenced. And, we talk about Scotty Scheffler. When's the right time to bet him? And last week at the Memorial, when he won, he went off at plus 280. And he was never higher than that, even when he was, off of the lead after day one and what have you. His odds continually went lower and lower. Well, Rory, you've got an opportunity where, like we say, his odds have nearly doubled. Maybe you jump in on him at this point.
Now, here are some of your long shots to win the RBC Canadian Open. And by the way, I think a lot of these, Brady, are still active because not many of these players have teed off from what I'm seeing here on the leaderboard here. Let's start off with your 55-1s, and then I'll let you take it from there. You like Hughes and Noren as some deep long shots. And boy, Justin Rose was playing such good golf earlier in the year. He's 96-1 to win this.
Yeah, I've seen his prices bounce around from like 95 to 70. He's kind of been all over the map, but he has had a very good season. Of course, we remember losing in a playoff at the Masters. He's done extremely well at this tournament before, a 4th and an 8th place finish in his last 2 visits. So I took a stab with Rose. He is still yet to tee off, as is Noren and Matty Schmid and Ricky Castillo, our big long bomb, the Florida Gator, not too far from you there, Craig. This young rookie on tour is really making a splash and playing some great golf. Took a chance with him at 120-1. Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian, he's the one Canadian I took. They typically don't do that well in their National Open. There's so much pressure on the Canadians to perform on their home soil. But Hughes has done well here in the past and off to a decent start. He's 1 under par right there with Rory McIlroy. And Davis Riley, our other selection that is currently on the course, he's at 2 under par, just 2 off the lead. So a couple guys are in red figures, and then the other 4 are yet to tee off. I think Alex Noren's really interesting, Craig. He was suffering a hamstring injury that kept him off the tour for 7 months. And in his return to action, he's made 3 straight cuts at very difficult golf tournaments, including a top 20 finish at the PGA. I think he might be ready to fire here.
Do you have any head-to-head matchups going into the weekend?
I do. Mackenzie Hughes, I took a stab with him over Keith Mitchell. Now, you probably can't still play that one because Hughes has teed off. But I do also have Max Homa. I'm fading Max Homa against Davis Riley, and then also going against Wyndham Clark against Kurt Kitayama. So maybe you can find a way to fade Homa, Mitchell, or Wyndham Clark.
Thanks, Brady, for coming on. Have a great rest of your week.
You too, my friend. Thank you.
We'll be right back with Adam Kaufman previewing the NBA Finals. So go on.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The wait is over. The NBA Finals begins tonight. Let's bring in Adam Kaufman of SportsGrid to break it all down with us, see if we can get any leans on this series. Adam joins us now. And, certainly, Adam, no surprise to anybody, you, me, anybody else, that the Indiana Pacers are playing in the NBA Finals. They seem to be one of those fun teams to take in the semis, in the East Finals as well. But as we enter tonight's game, I don't know that this is going to be a lot of fun for them. Maybe so. I don't know. How do you feel about this? They're 9.5-point underdogs. They're huge underdogs to even make the series close. Total 230.5. Adam, it's sports. Sometimes teams use this and they continue the run. Sometimes it does happen. Let's not discount it. Indiana could make this a 6-7 game series. They could win. It's sports. But no one seems to want to pick them. And I guess I would start with the spread tonight. When you look at it, is it something enticing for you to take the points here tonight?
Well, let's first go back to your overall point, because I think that the way people are picking this series versus the way the general public, anyway, is betting on this series are two different things. Obviously, intuitively, and if you have eyes, if you've watched this Oklahoma City Thunder team play and take nothing away from the Indiana Pacers and what they have achieved throughout this postseason, and really going back to midseason in the NBA, how good, how consistent, how dominant they have been compared to many in the East. Like you said, we both thought they were going to run through the Knicks and get themselves here into this position, only to play for the opportunity to lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, most people are obviously picking the Thunder, whether it's in 5, whether it's in 6, some people are talking themselves into 7, or conversely, a sweep. Very few experts, if you will, are going to pick the Pacers. However, you talk to people at various sports books, and a lot of the liability, if you will, a lot of people are just sort of chasing the money, chasing the long odds. I mean, you got 5-1 odds to back the Indiana Pacers, which is just a lot more, if you're a $100 unit better, a lot more enticing than laying north of $700 to win $100 on the Oklahoma City Thunder, especially when you consider, like you said, weird things happen. The odds are going to dramatically change in this series if, heaven forbid, SGA, the MVP, were to get hurt, obviously, in game one and miss the rest of the series. All of a sudden, you view this thing very, very differently. But obviously, you want talent to be available and be out there and do what they do. And putting these teams, pitting them against each other, Thunder with a number one offense and also a top-ranked defense, it's hard to see where the Pacers genuinely make this a series. Game one, fat spread, as you said, 9.5, and it's the whole rest versus rust debate, which sort of has me wanting to stay away from it altogether, because the Thunder, they've been off for a while. Really both these teams have been off for a while. I mean, nearly a week for both these clubs, obviously, so they may be equally rusty at this point in time. I'm just not so sure, even at home, I'm comfortable laying double digits with the Thunder, nor am I convinced the Pacers are going to be this plucky Pacers team that we've seen so much of in recent series against the Thunder here in game one. I think we kind of need a feel-out game, Craig, when it comes to the spread. The total is much more interesting. I would look to the over there.
All right, so that's fair enough for tonight's game. So it's funny that you mentioned that you can get 5-1 on the Pacers winning. I mean, you could get almost 5-1 on Oklahoma City winning in 6. I mean, look at these odds here. A sweep is plus 290. 5 games is 210. If the Pacers win 2 games and that's it, it's almost like taking them, to be honest with you. You get plus 440 there. 7 games plus 540, and then if Indiana wins anything close, 4, 5, or 6, you're making 10 on your money, 10-1. I mean, that's just crazy here. So I do think that the shortest odds represent what I believe probably is going to happen, honestly, is that OKC wins in 5. But I would be willing to throw a dart here. Why not?
So the way I would approach this, and I've been saying this, going back to the weekend shows here on the grid and even before that, about a hypothetical series, because I, like so many, am a believer, obviously, in the Oklahoma City Thunder. But if you're looking for ways to profit on this series, again, it doesn't make sense taking OKC on the money line, be it for the series or going game to game. So this is exactly the market, one of the 2 markets anyway, that I would look to. And I'm with you. I am more inclined to follow the money, so to speak, and believe it's a gentleman's sweep. That's my feeling. But I'm not going to be shocked if the Pacers find a way to steal a couple again. They're a good, competitive, no-quit team that is deep. Not as deep as the Thunder, but they are deep. And so I would honestly put money down on both OKC in 5 and OKC in 6, because even if and when one of those hits, you're guaranteeing yourself profit. Not as much, obviously, as if you're removing the loss from the equation and just going with one you happen to guess right. But this is an opportunity to sort of set yourself up in a couple of different avenues, because I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I don't think it goes to 7. And so I would be willing to wager on both of those and lock in some profit, assuming that I am right. The other way, and this is, correlated, is look at the series spread. Now, I don't want to be so cocky about Oklahoma City as to get a much better number at OKC minus 2.5. But I'll take the juice with the minus 1.5. Again, at that point in time, you're just betting on the Pacers to, 1, not win, obviously, but to not force this to 7 games. If the Thunder win it in 6 or fewer, you win your bet. That to me is at least where the smart money is. And if you can get, let's call it between minus 250, minus 275, that range, versus just taking OKC on the money line at, where the odds sit, or like you said for the series at minus 700, it's not even comparable. At least that's a number that you can stomach, even if you want to say there isn't a lot of value in it.
Yeah, all that makes sense. Very intriguing to me. Any interest in picking an overtime game in the series? One overtime game plus 240. I mean, if you did it in hockey, you already cashed last night, right?
Sure. Yeah, honestly. Look, I mean, we've seen the Pacers, again, be just this frisky team. There were overtime games in that series against the Knicks. They played overtime here in this postseason so far. The Thunder, it's not as though they have not gone to close games, win or lose. I mean, think back to that Denver series. I mean, the Timberwolves series went about as I expected it to, and we talked about it great length here on this show in the past, but Denver put up a fight. Now the question is, can Indiana find a way to put up a fight? So, look, I mean, that's more of a, pizza money bet, hot dog money bet, as the previous guest Brady Kannon would tell you. I'm not putting a full unit on that, but it's worth a sprinkle.
Finally, as far as most total threes made on FanDuel. This is, we digging for props here. Halliburton is a favorite at plus 125. Lou Dort, I see 5-1. SGA 8-1. Hey, Jalen Williams 10-1 there too. Anything in particular stand out to you? I mean, this is the fun part of the finals. You don't have to bet the spread in the total. You can do something else.
Yeah, I think Neesmith would be one that jumps out there. Don't forget he had that 8 made threes game against the Knicks and that one that went to overtime. And as I recall, it was the series opener. So, he's an interesting one that isn't the favorite, but you're still getting a nearly 4-1 number on. I think obviously, like you said, there are a million different ways to bet this series and just sort of have some fun with your money. One that I would consider, I mean, this market that you just brought up is probably a better one because, again, any guy could get hot and in theory over the course of a 5 to 6 game series, I'll stay with that. You could steal one. Halliburton could have a great series and still not be the leader in 3-pointers made, obviously. Jalen Williams is apt to hoist him. We've seen that a good amount. Sticking with Jalen, though, how about the most valuable player market? There's no value in betting SGA, right? I think we could agree on that. What is he, like minus 550, something like that?
Yeah.
Even if you believe that the regular season MVP, the Western Conference Finals MVP is going to win it, and again, that's where the smart money is. There's just no value. So if you want to sprinkle something and you believe the Thunder are going to win, you're taking out those next guys, Halliburton and Siakam, and you're going to that fourth one on the list, Jalen Williams, who, now is 25-1. I started talking about this when it was 33-1. Pascal Siakam won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown was the NBA Finals MVP and Eastern Conference Finals MVP for Boston last year. It's not Halliburton, and it wasn't Jason Tatum. We're talking about the not top best player on these teams. Maybe Jalen Williams has an incredible series, and that's a great number.
All right, Adam, let's hope for 5 or 6 games. Coming on NewsWire.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalpost got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Let's talk some Major League Baseball, look at some odds updated, Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, bringing Joe Pisapia from Fantasy Pros and here at SportsGrid. You can also catch him Sunday mornings on Fantasy Sports Today with Matt Stryker. Joe, great to see you again. Thanks for coming on the show. And you ready to dive in here? Some odds here, Rookie of the Year and some Cy Young?
Absolutely. Let's do it, my friend. Baseball waits for no man.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, you were on the show, and you and I were kind of going back and forth. Interesting point you were making, which is if Jack Caglione got called up by the Royals, you would have to consider him in the mix to be Rookie of the Year. So let's take a look. Last time we talked, Jacob Wilson of the A's, who's been the best rookie in the American League, he was minus 340. Wouldn't you know, Caglione does get called up in June, but there's two parts to this story. Part number one is he has the shortest odds to win the Rookie of the Year, which is pretty crazy considering he hasn't played a game. And I just did this on the Marlins broadcast the other day. I can't find anybody who's gotten called up in June that's won Rookie of the Year. But here we are. He's plus 850. But on the flip side, Joe, Wilson is more of a favorite now to win Rookie of the Year in the American League. So I think probably that is the case that Wilson's going to win. But at least Caglione has an outside shot. But it's going to have to start right now, Joe, right? Like that's got to be like he can't go 5 again tonight. Like he's got to start hitting. No offense.
Well, look,
to him,
that 0 for 5. No offense to his 0 for 5, but the exit velo over those balls were averaging almost 98 miles an hour. He had a couple balls over 100, one of which was an incredible play by Victor Scott on that first one. He had another just bullet that Nolan Arenado was able to come up with. So he's hitting balls hard all over the place. It was one of the most beautiful 0 for 5s I've ever seen. And last time I was here, he was plus 3,500. And I said, look, bet it now in case he ends up getting called up because that number is going to drop precipitously when he does. Now, even I didn't think he was going to get called up the next week, but he has. And I think the case you want to make is this. Jacob Wilson is a really nice player. But if you look and dig a little bit deeper, right, he's hitting 350 right now. If that batting average comes back to where it's expected, which is 307 right now, still very good, but okay, nice 300 hitter. His expected slugging percentage is under 400. His exit velocity, barrel percentage, hard hit right, all of like the sexy metrics that would say this guy's going to hit some more home runs, all those are under 10% in the percentiles, right? They're not good. So Jacob Wilson is a guy that is getting his hits. He's been a nice story in April, May, but it's really not an interesting enough story to me narrative-wise, whereas Caglione can come in. If he hits 15-plus home runs, he'll have more home runs, I think, than Jacob Wilson when all said and done at the end of the season, even though he's got a head start on him. And I think the narrative would be this Jack Caglione kid helped take the Royals back into the playoffs, whereas the Sacramento Athletics are just kind of toiling away yet again in obscurity this season. So I think the Caglione narrative is one to watch. I understand why it's basically become a 2-horse race, but I don't think Jack Caglione is somebody you can count out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely very fascinating because to me, at the end of the season when the voters are voting and all the numbers offensively, slugging and all that may be better for Caglione, but how can you give somebody an award who plays 90 games over somebody that plays 150 in the big leagues? That's the fighting part that's going to be very difficult for everybody. It's not Caglione's fault, by the way. Obviously, they didn't get called up. But definitely something to watch. And yes, getting from 30 to now 8.5, you would take that any day if you bet anything in sports. So good job by you. All right. Now, American League Cy Young Award. You never see somebody this big a favorite in early June ever. Just, it's different for this award because so much can happen. Players can get hurt, etc. Tariq Skubal is minus 160 to win this award. Both Brown, Crochet, and Fried have all been fantastic. The big surprise has been Bubic from Kansas City. I mean, you would have thought Cole Reagans would have been there, but obviously Bubic has been the best pitcher on the Royals. Jacob deGrom is there at 13-1. Good luck trying that one out. I'll save that for another year. Is it an open and shut case here for Skubal? I mean, you just don't know what can happen in baseball, Joe. And guys, I mean, I'm not rooting for this, but guys do get hurt. If Skubal just pitches the rest of the season, he's the winner, right? Like, that's it?
Yeah, I think so. And even though it's minus 160, I don't think it's a bad wager right now. You mentioned Max Fried. That was somebody I thought could contend because he's pitching in that big Yankee market, right? It's a media award. You have opportunities there. But then he had that big blow-up start, which was bound to happen. He wasn't going to pitch to a sub-2 ERA all season. That was just facetious. It wasn't going to be the case. But Crochet's pitching on a Red Sox team that's kind of toiling away right now, trying to figure out what they are. They keep losing these one-run games. They had a win yesterday. That's great. But if they had just won half of the 17 one-run games that they've lost, they'd actually be a game out of first place, believe it or not. So the Red Sox would be a team that we'd be talking about in a very different light. But right now, we're talking about them as potential sellers. So I just don't know if that helps Garrett Crochet. Hunter Brown's been brilliant. I think that is definitely the guy in that second spot that you do have to worry about because the Astros could make that run at the West if Yordan Alvarez comes back healthy in a couple weeks. But once again, it feels like Scooble's to lose. And we see this all the time, right? The voting public falls in love with a player for a couple years, whether it be MVP, Cy Young. We like to give them a bunch, and then we get tired of them. And then we pivot away to somebody else, and they become the new darling. Right now, Scooble is the darling, and he has just been absolutely incredible this season yet again.
The Mets take care of the Dodgers again in their series in Los Angeles. And so over on FanDuel, you got a little bump here going. They're moved ahead of the Phillies again. They've been jockeying back and forth. Phillies were ahead of the Mets. Now Mets are ahead of the Phillies. Dodgers are the favorite to win the pennant, followed by New York, Philadelphia. The Cubs have been fantastic this year and clearly getting an MVP performance, not from Kyle Tucker, who was earlier the favorite to win the MVP, now from Pete Crow Armstrong. And if the Cubs add players, maybe this is their year at 7-1. Braves are 11-1. Padres 12-1. I don't like what I've seen from either of those two teams thus far. Do you think it's one of the four teams here, Joe, at the top? Dodgers, Mets, Phillies, and Cubs?
It's still very early. I think I'm going to remind everybody that, these teams that get hot at the end, those are the ones you have to watch out for. But the Cubs, I struggle with because I just don't think they have the pitching to compete. When they get Imanaga back, that's still not enough. And I just don't know in that system if they have enough to turn it around to get more starting pitchers and what sort of pitchers are even going to be on that market potentially for them to acquire that would make a difference. So they're out to me as well. I know that upsets a lot of Cubs fans. I say anybody but the Dodgers. So I'm betting on the Phillies and I'm betting on the Mets because I think those are the two teams right now that to me seem like they are the most apt to take out the Dodgers in a short series. And I think that's what you're looking for right now because the public money's still on the Dodgers, but man, those Mets seem to have their number, Craig, just saying.
We'll see when it all shakes out up in September. Joe, thanks again for coming on. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again Sunday morning on Fantasy Sports Today. Thanks again.
You too, my friend.
All right, coming up next, Derek Carr explains why he walked away from the NFL. I'll tell you why when we return with Last Lick.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face is the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire. Derek Carr calls it a career in the NFL. Does look like it's for good. The NBA is changing the All-Star game again and again and again. It feels like this is every single year. And good news for one Olympiad who definitely was able to at least get some justice on a fan who was very off the wall. It's time now for some last licks. You may have heard the story. We brought it to you earlier in the week. I think it was Monday. Gabby Thomas, Olympiad, had been heckled by fans and followed by a one specific fan about losing a bet on her, apparently. Well, really good news here. And this is actually really good to see that the sports betting companies, just like they did with Lance McCullers Jr., have also found this person who has been heckling and going after Gabby Thomas. FanDuel, the company that this person allegedly bet on, has banned the bettor over the incident. So word to the wise here, if you're going to attack either verbally or physically or any other way your common or even Olympic athlete for not performing as you thought, you're going to end up losing a lot more than just sports betting. And by the way, I don't think the story is over by any stretch, but needless to say, the announcement was made that FanDuel has found the person who went after Gabby Thomas, and they can no longer bet on sports. Now, the other question that does become, and I'm sure that you guys and girls are asking this out there as well, okay, so FanDuel banned them. What about DraftKings? What about BetMGM? What about these other companies? Let's just stay tuned and wait to see how this all plays out, because I have a feeling you're not going to see whoever this was have any ability to bet on or against any athletes in the future. Okay, well, we all probably would have placed a bet a few months ago that Derek Carr would have been back. He would have been playing for the Saints. He would have been a quarterback. But then all of a sudden, these reports surfaced that Carr had a shoulder issue that would require surgery and could miss the entire season. Then, just before the NFL draft, Carr announced that he was not going to play the NFL season this year and also was not going to play in the future. Carr decided to retire and forego approximately $30 million that he would have been owed for this coming season, which is kind of crazy. You don't see athletes give away this kind of money. Usually they, have a settlement or figure something out. But Carr did an interview, because he has a podcast now with him and his brother, David Carr, and did an interview about that, this forthcoming podcast on Front Office Sports, and told them that essentially, yes, he is basically deciding that it was not good for him or the Saints to be eating up $30 million of their money, which essentially would have been his money. And that's why he decided to call it quits. He said that I was not going to be able to play. I've made enough money over the course of my career. Now, his agent, according to this interview, has also reached out to him to ask him and say, hey, look, are you absolutely sure that you don't want to come back here? Because we got some teams like calling. Maybe we can facilitate a trade for the future. Quarterbacks in the NFL are very difficult to find. Carr said, no, I'm very happy playing with my kids. Thanks so much. So this conspiracy theory about Carr not wanting to play for the Saints and play somewhere else next year, that's gone. He's retired. But he will have a podcast coming out pretty soon talking about sports. $30 million, folks. Could you walk away from $30 million no matter how much money you had? Carr decided to do that. Now let's move on to this agonizing story in the NBA, the All-Star Game. Oh, enough about the All-Star Game. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times. This is like the Pro Bowl. It doesn't matter how many times they've tried to change it. We're not going back to the 80s where Michael Jordan and Larry Bird are in the three-point contest. It's not happening. You're getting guys in the dunk contest who don't even play in the NBA. The game itself is a joke. They don't play any defense. Nobody cares. So now I feel like they've tried this before. Am I wrong with this one? That they've tried this format before? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this was like the rookies game or the futures game. So now it's Team USA versus the world in the All-Star Game. I mean, you can't make this up. At some point, you just got to admit the game stinks. Forget it. It's over. Because that's where we're trending. Just like the Pro Bowl. It's the same thing. So last year they said, oh, here's what's going to solve the NBA All-Star Game. We're going to put them in their actual NBA jerseys. Remember that? Oh, you're going to get to see your players play in their own NBA jerseys. Now everyone's going to be interested in. Not so much. Now it's USA versus the world. Hot tip. This is going to be a failure as well. I think we're coming to the end of NBA All-Star Weekend. I know this is sad to say. I think we're coming to the end of it. I think that next couple of years, this is it. Call me crazy. Remind me on this show in 2 years if I'm wrong. All right, I'm wrong a lot, but I'm not wrong about this. We're done in 53 seconds. So let me thank all of our guests here on the program today. Thanks again to Adam Kaufman for coming on, Gilbert McGregor as well. And thanks to Joe Pisapia for coming on talking some Major League Baseball. We got Smiley Kaufman and Brady Kannon on golf. We've got Smiley Kaufman coming up, speaking of which, at 12, followed by Pharrell Coast to Coast, Front Office Sports at 6. Game time decisions at 6:30, in-game live game day, covering the NBA Finals. And Gabe with the latest on Sports Rage tonight. Thanks again to Luke, and for my director Frank, I'm Craig Mish. We are going to wrap the week up tomorrow with our Friday edition of NewsWire. So make sure you tune back in live at 11 a.m. Eastern right here on